tutorial is about making advanced tables for financial documents. So I created a text box right here quickly, and I will drop some text that I copied from a PDF from an annual report in there. So there it is right there. So it's a bunch of numbers and there's no dividers because it's just plain text, right? So what I need to do first is I want to create some tabs to create my columns from my tables in between each of those, right, to create different columns. So I just select the space in between right there, and I create a tab, and I put one again in front of the 2019, and same thing here. I want to have one in front right here, one in front right here. Well, this is kind of tedious, isn't it? So what you can do is you can do a find and replace. So you can go Command F on the Mac, or under is it under Edit, Find and Change right here. So what I'm going to find is I'm going to try to find the space, right? So I just hit the space bar right there, and I'm going to replace it with right there with a tab. I'm going to look for that in this document right here. So find next. So it's going to find all my spaces in there, right? So right now I don't want to go in there. I want to go into right here. So I'm going to go change and find, right? And you can multiple click of it. Find next, change and find next. Whoops, I missed one. Find next. So it's a little bit tedious, but usually you don't get to. Okay, I'm done. I missed that one right here because I'm too fast, and this one right here. So at this point, I should be able to convert this bunch of numbers into a table. So I go under my table, convert text to table. My column separator would be my tab character right here, and my row separator would be my paragraph, which is perfect, exactly what I want. And that creates a table like this. And it's pretty ugly at this point. This tells me that the table is just too big, right? There's not enough room on that table. So what I can do is I can reduce the size of my horizontal cells in my control right here. So I select the whole table by clicking in the upper left. You see the little arrow appearing right there. And then I'm just going to make them just 1 inch right now. So they're all 1 inch width. At this point, it's just for placement only. So we'll make it, a little wider so we have a little bit more room to work. And then right off the bat, I want to get rid of all my dividers right here, except the horizontal. I want to get rid of the vertical, and I want to get rid of the horizontal around, right? The frame all around. So I just, click on 0, double click on that, it deselects the whole frame. Click on the vertical, and then I want to make my horizontal dividers a lot thinner. So I want to go into, say, 0.5 like this, right? That's nice and clean. Again, so here, you know what? I'm going to keep my verticals just so we can see it. We can see what I'm doing. So I had already created some paragraph styles. And right now, the whole thing should be table text right there, right? There's also a character style. So right now it's applying the character style by default. I don't want that. So this is my character style, my paragraph style, table text. It's all there, it's beautiful. So I want to change that, for example, my table unit, which is a little smaller. And I want to change this guy to my table title, right there, so it's a little bolder. So this guy right here is in the wrong spot. It should be over all of those columns. So I'm going to select that, copy that, and I'm going to put it in the very first cell right here. Delete that one. And what I want to do here is I want to select all of those cells, and I want to merge them right here. Merge cells right in your control bar right here, or under table, cell options, sorry, merge cells right here. And it does the same thing. Now this is all in one, see, it's all in one cell right here, the whole thing. My table title, I want to double click on that, and I want to center it. There you go, so now it's above all of them. There's 2019 numbers. I want to apply number bold that I created, my character style. So it's nice and bold and visible. So it creates a little bit of emphasis on the 2019 numbers, right? You want to look at the last numbers. But the problem is right now my tables are all aligned to the left, and it's kind of weird, and I want to have that aligned to the right, like so. But it's not the right way to do it. Because right now, see, you can see that there's an overridden, the little plus right beside my style right there, and that's just not right, because if I option click, as you say, overrides, option click it, it goes back to my original. So I don't want that. So what I want is I want to create a table number style. So this is all table text, right? All of that. So what I want to do is I want to create a new table style. A new paragraph style, sorry. So I'm going to just, select one or two, whatever. I'm just going to create one, apply it, and then double click on it, call it table numbers, and it's based on table text, perfectly fine. But what I want to do now is I want to have a gap, in between my $sign and my number right there. So if my table number, actually I should apply all of that stuff to my table numbers. There it is. If I want to have a tab, basically to have a set distance between my $sign and my number right here, and I just want to go in there and I want to select my space right there, and I hit the tab key. Well, because you're in a cell, it's kind of like, in Excel, it just switches over to the next one. So you don't want that, because that's frustrating, and you can't create your character in there. So what you want to do is you want to do on the Mac is Option tab. So you press your Option key or Alt on the PC, and then hit the tab key, and that creates your tab space right there. Now, another thing on financial documents, very often you have numbers that are sometimes in negative. So when they're in negative, they're very often, instead of putting a minus in front of the number, they put the number in bracket, and it's a negative number, right? So it's a loss, right? So for example, right? So we're going to put some loss here. We're fudging the numbers, and that. Now you want, of course, accountants, they love to have their numbers lining up. So all those commas, for example, right there, needs to line up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my paragraph style, and then my table numbers again, double click on it, double click on that, and I'm going to change my alignment to the right. So everything is all lined up to the right-hand side. Lovely. Great. Problem is, if you're bringing a guide right here, see my comma right there is not aligned with the one below, or the one with a negative number right here, right? And accountants would literally have a cow about it. So how do you fix that? Well, you have a tab key, right? You have a tab character in your cell. So all you have to do is you go into your table number paragraph style options, and you set your tab. So here you have 4 different options for tabs. You have the left align or left justified, the center align, so whenever you put a tab, things will center. A right align, which is not what we want. What we want is a line to a decimal or other specific character. So I click on that. I create my tab somewhere in here, right, wherever that would be. I think the cells are about in 1 1/4, so I'm going to put it at 1 1/8, and then it'll align by default. It aligns to a period right here, and I want to change it to a right bracket, and I click OK. Well, it still didn't do anything. Now, how do I work on that? Again, double click on your paragraph style options. Remember, we've set the tab there, but your alignment is on the right-hand side. Switch it back to the left. It highlights things in yellow, and that's what it does. Right there, now your numbers are aligned slightly off by a smidge. And that's why it's highlighted in yellow. So that tells you that there's not enough room within the cell, right? So it's like it's highlighting something and it goes, hey, there's a problem right here, please fix me. So we're gonna do this quickly. Number one, we're gonna reduce the size of this to, let's say, 1 1/8. So we can have this one a little wider and things are lining up. So again, all your numbers are suddenly all in yellow. It's like, what have I done, right? What I want to do as well is center my text within my cells right here. Right now, by default, it's at the top, but I want to center it right there, so it's nice and in between the lines. But here, what I've done, what I forgot to show you as well, is my cells by default are a certain amount of height, and this is, you know, by default it's like 0.04 whatever 17, and it's not exactly a measurement, but they also have a cell inset right here, which is a little bit of a kind of so that a margin within the cells, right? So I want to put that back to 0. So I want to link them, bring that back to 0, and it crushes everything. You go, what have I done again? All it is, it's your cell right here needs to be at least something a little higher right there. So we're going to make them at 1/4 of an inch, so there's plenty of room. So you have room at the top, right at the bottom, but not on the sides. Again, go back to your table numbers right here. Your tab right there. Remember that we reduced it to, was that 1 1/8? So your tab right there, you want to bring it back in, just to give yourself a little bit of a gap, right? To give it enough room for the character, the bracket character right there. And that's all it is. And now if you bring that guide over, the commas are lining up, despite having that extra character. Now the thing is now, well, great, but my $ is like way off on the left there, right? So I don't want that. My table numbers right there. So if I actually have dividers like this, those little vertical lines in between, if I don't have them, that's not a problem, right? So I get rid of that. I just select my divider and just put it down to 0, and then it's perfectly fine. It's a little tight right there. So again, what I can do is I can add a little inset on the left-hand side, right? Like so. But then it pushes things again, right? So I'm going, okay, I'm chasing my tail here. So you can do that, or again, you can create another character in another tab character right here, right? So again, Option Tab to create your character, and then you change your table number again, and you change your tab in there. You add a tab aligning to the left this time, so you place one in there, make sure that it's left aligned, and there it is. So thing is, this is great for the $, but then all of those numbers underneath don't have a $. So that's not going to work, right? So I'm showing you all the ways to do things and then not to do them right as well. So I want to delete that, just drag it off. So the best solution at this point is not to have a character in front, not to have a tab in front, and just to add a little bit of an inset from the left-hand side right there, just 1 notch, for example. Again, it highlights things because the little inset on the left-hand side and the little inset on the right-hand side makes my tab pushing the characters a little too close, right? So that doesn't work. So again, create my tab, go in my tab right there, bring it over, bring in 1 notch down, and that fixes things right there. So I'm just showing you all the possible errors that you can run into. But all it is, it's just one setup in the paragraph styles right here, and then one setup in your inset in your table cells. And that's it. So at this point, it's, you know, you can customize this table very, very easily, get rid of the verticals. This one would be, this is 0.5 at the bottom right here. Okay, so we're gonna do, you know, a little thicker at the bottom of that one, right? So it looks like this. And then same thing here, because it's in the end of a table, you want to add maybe 2. And if it was a total, like for example, if that was the actual total of the whole thing, same thing here, they would have, you know, just a line, a little thicker line. What you can do as well, you can highlight this column right here, and you can put a fill to it. Right now, there's just a stroke around it, but you can add a fill to it. So let's say your annual report uses a green. There it is. That's a little strong. So click on your green right there, and then change the tint. Make a, you know, a light minty green. Let's say 8%. And now it's light and airy. And there's a clean financial table right there for you. So again, remember, your paragraph styles, your character styles are your friends within this thing, those type of documents. And you can also set your table styles as well. So the whole thing can be pretty much set up the same way, where you have a header row, and a number of rows you have, and what's the dividers, etc., etc. So that'll be for another day. But again, you know, your tab character is the important one. How to make a tab character within a table. Align it to the left, give yourself a little inset from the right-hand side, and then your tab aligns to the bracket, which is right here. So your numbers are perfectly aligned. And that, my friend, is what accountants wants to see.